Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everyone. And we welcome you today. And we have a very, very special guest with us. And she's going to give her story in just a few minutes. And but I just wanted to, I know this is December, and I just want to wish everybody such a very Merry Christmas and just a Happy New Year, and be blessed, and just know that the season is all about, I believe, Jesus. So, but it's Christmas, and we want you to enjoy your family. We want you to enjoy your friends, but above all, be safe and just love each other. Just be kind. I've been seeing a lot of shirts here lately that says be kind, and that is so true. Sometimes just a smile, just a hug, just a how you doing to someone means the world to them, because you never know what people are going through. But we just want to welcome you today, as I said, and this is Recovery in Action, and I'm Sharon Cranfill. And I am the founder and the executive director of the House of Ruth. And I just want to let you know I am very, very honored to have received an award this last week. Yes. I'm still processing. But the House of Ruth has been in existence for almost 13 years. And we've had over 165 women go through our program, and many of those women are successful. And I'm very proud of that fact, and very proud that we are faith-based, and I believe with God all things are possible. And I just want you to know that the House of Ruth, I want to show you my award, has received the Recovery Residents of the Year for the entire state of Indiana, and for 2022.
Wow,
Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Congratulations, it's amazing.
It is, and we went up to Mental Health of America in Indianapolis on this past Friday, and we accepted the award, and we're just so excited. It's such an honor. And also, we have been working a lot on our manuals, because there's certain criteria when you have a recovery residence that you have to go through to be able to have a recovery residence and be certified. And we're certified through NR, which is Indiana Affiliation of Recovery Residences. And in doing that, we have to be inspected. We have to have different, there's just a lot of criteria. And so a couple weeks ago, one of the women that has, she's over the NR, Linda Stevens, and she had called me and asked me, or she actually emailed me and asked if they could use our manual as training for the state of Indiana. And I'm like,
that's wild.
Wow. I said, thank you, Lord, we're doing something, right. Because you do this, and you want to do things right. Yes. I'm the type of person, I want to make sure. Sometimes I exhaust myself because I want every I dotted and every T crossed, because I want to make sure that I'm doing it right.
I bet you never thought when you started that you would ever go so far.
No. It had probably scared me to death.
Yeah.
If they would have said, you know what you're going to do, you know. And even amazing. We were talking whenever we came up here, I was showing you all the houses. Yes. When I opened the very first one, it was like, I was so scared. And now to have all the women in transition, to have so many women go through it, children lives there. There's just so much. And it's all to me, I'm just honored to be the vessel that God chose that He could work through.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, my working there, because they'll ask me, how does it feel like a job? It really doesn't. They said you work all the time, but it does not feel like a job. I enjoy it. I enjoy the women. I enjoy meeting the families and helping them, and because I still believe I will as long as I live. As long as there's breath in your body, there's hope. So never give up. Never stop loving. Never stop praying. And above all, encourage and support the people that are in active addiction, because they didn't get there. And we're going to hear from Carrie. It's not just people on the streets. It's not just, people that are homeless. It is not just people. People don't wake up one day and say, you know what, today I think I'll lose my house. I think I'll lose my friends, my family, my job. I just think I'm going to be in addiction. That's not how it works. It's a process. And yes, some people have a choice, but in Carrie's, it can be a silent killer.
Yes.
So I just want you to know, if you have any questions on meetings or anything, there's a meeting almost every day of the week. I know the Connection Cafe is now open. They're doing activities on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday nights. They've got they got an ugly sweater contest coming up.
Oh, wow.
And they serve supper. They're having games. They'll have groups, testimonials. So anyone that wants a nice warm place, you can even take showers, and there's a free clothing place. So just know that there are things happening around our area that is a good, positive thing. And there's people out there that want to help. So if you have any questions or anything, you're welcome to contact me at the House of Ruth. But I want to get started with interviewing Carrie. Okay. So we have Carrie Adkins McCullough with us today, and she is from Union County. She has quite a story, and just as all of us do, but sometimes you need to hear what people go through, because we look at people and we don't understand how they got to where they are. So today we're going to listen to Carrie, and I know you're going to be blessed. I know you will. Carrie, it's so good to have you today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Short notice, and you were right there.
I was ready.
I was like, yes.
That was a God thing, probably.
Yes,
right
it was.
Yep.
So you have quite a story, and
I do.
And we were talking on the way down here, because with your story, you had a model, mostly childhood. I mean, you didn't start doing drugs until later, and you really didn't start doing them. They were prescribed.
Correct.
So start us off where you want us to kind of hear what happened.
Let's see. I could go back to childhood. I think that'll probably start explaining why I stuck where I was. When I was a child, I was molested by my stepfather, and I was removed from my mother's home. So she decided to stay with him, and I just wanted love.
Yeah.
I was in group homes and things like that. My brothers got to stay home, so I wanted a family. So at that point, I swore that whenever I got kids, and that made me just look for boyfriends, just look. Whenever I had kids, and what I was going to do, whatever I had to do to keep my family together, because of what I went through with a stepfather, and my dad moving out of state, married somewhere else, to do everything I could to keep my kids together with their parents, and that was my goal. So, of course, I thought it was the coolest or the best thing ever that once I was of age and I was able to be out on my own, I got a boyfriend that actually had stood up to my stepdad one time and actually beat him up pretty bad. And I was like, finally, somebody to protect me from that
Someone's
monster.
taking care of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he ended up being even more of a monster. But throughout our lives, he smoked pot. He was in and out of addiction. I never would smoke pot, nothing. I was completely say no to drugs, anti-drugs. I was the boringest one because I got pregnant at 17. I had our first child at 18. I had one at 19. And I had one 4 days before my 21st birthday. So I had 3 kids back to back. And I wanted the house life, home,
Right. Right.
parents. While all of our friends the same age were partying and this and that. So he was still doing that. We were together. And time goes on, and I realize, he does a couple little bits in jail, and I realize I've got to do something because he's not going to be dependable to take care of us all the time. So I had 4 children when I put myself through nursing school, and completed that with a 4.0 grade average.
That's amazing.
Thank you. And with 4 kids at home.
Yeah.
And was in the Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society and all this, and was a registered nurse. I worked critical care, so I was a critical care RN, done some charge nurse. I floated different places. But all during this time, because I was with him for 23 years, throughout this time, he was still an addict. He would go to jail for something, but I would always let him come home. He was going to stop. He was going to stop. I'd always let him come home. And he was abusive, but I still dealt with it, and he always had a place to come home when he got out. Little I know, I'm moving people, because we didn't have aides in critical care. We had to do all of our stuff ourselves because our patient ratio was only 1 to 3 patients, so we should okay, lifting people up. So I tore my rotator cuff. And for a couple years, I tried injections, and we tried steroid packs and muscle relaxers and anti-inflammatory. They did put me on some pain pills, but I wouldn't take them then. And a couple years into it, I drove from Reed to Brookville. It was pretty much almost an hour drive. So, and I worked 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week. So, all the way home, I would cry. I tore shoulder. By then, I'm 36 years old or so. And went and had the surgery. It was going to make it better. It was the only thing that would work. Had the surgery. 16 weeks off work. Didn't make it no better. It still hurt. It still hurt. Then it was, oh, well, let's rescan. Oh, well, we didn't do this while we're in there. We can go back in and try this. And no. So the doctors that I'm working with in the hospital, because it's the same hospital I worked at, which was Reed, were the doctors that I was seeing. The doctor that would come see my patients was the doctor that operated on me, doing their rounds. So at that point, they said, okay, well, if that didn't work, let's put you on some pain pills. And at first, I wouldn't take them. But having an addict at home, being able to keep my pain pills or anything was pretty much impossible. He was getting in and would break into a safe, whatever. And finally, and he was abusive if I wouldn't give them to him. He just would get super mean or super sick because he had a very bad problem at that time. But finally, it got to the point where me driving home crying, like, I have to try this. I have to. And then I could work and it didn't hurt. Started taking my pain pills and it didn't hurt. I could get through a day's work and not hurt. So, of course, my doctors say, well, we're going to send you to pain management because you probably have to deal with this pain forever.
Right.
From that point, it went from Norco to Percocet to oxycodone. Little ones, 120 of them a month.
Wow.
And started taking them, not all of them, just here and there when I help. But like I said, my ex was taking them, which means I was not having enough to get through the month. But I started taking them a little more often so I could work. By then I was working 2 jobs, and he didn't work. So I'm taking them. It's not hurting. I'm out of meds because he's got in them.
He's taking them, yeah.
And I don't have any, and I feel sick. And being a nurse in my own doctors give them to me, and I'm thinking back now of, duh, I stopped taking, didn't have any, and was sick. The sweats, the chills, the diarrhea, the muscle aches, all that. I thought it was the flu. No,
Yeah.
it was withdrawal.
Withdrawal.
So withdrawing from opiates is one of the absolute worst type withdrawal you could to go through. You're sick.
Yeah.
And so it just got worse and worse and worse to where I was addicted and was using all my script. By the time him using them, we could go through my 120 in a week, easy. And then having to buy more and buy more and buy more.
Off the streets, yeah.
Off the streets until it got so expensive. It was $1 a milligram.
Yeah.
So I ended up, during this time, ended up pregnant. And my children were grown, and I had 2 little grandbabies already. And I got pregnant, didn't plan to be, because I kept promising myself when all of them were 18, that would give my reason to leave, but I didn't. So I got pregnant and planned and scheduled an abortion 3 times because I'd already went through the working, and even though he didn't work, of taking the kids to a babysitter and paying a babysitter. And I had just got out of packing car seats and bottles and diaper bags and everything else, and I didn't want to be a single mom that was married and having to go to work. But I ended up, so I had her, and the doctors had told me then, they knew I was on that, not to stop taking it, because if a baby goes into withdrawal in utero, they can't help the baby, and the baby could pass away from withdrawals. There's nothing they could do.
Right.
So it was best to keep taking my medication, and then they could deal with the withdrawals after the baby was born. Praise Jesus. There was no intervention needed.
Yeah.
Praise Jesus.
Yes,
because I had
absolutely.
worked in the hospital and dealt with babies coming off of morphine. So she came home, and not thinking, here I am in addiction, she was born. Within a couple months, I have Irish twins. 2 babies that were born in 2016.
Oh my goodness.
So again, at Paisley, the first one I didn't even make it to the hospital to have her born. I worked 12-hour shifts, and I had leaned up against on the wall all night long, and I went home. The girls kept telling me, "You need to go to the hospital." I'm like, "I'm fine." Women used to have the kids in the fields and going back to work. Every kid's a baby. So I just thought I'd go home and get a few hours sleep, and hopefully the contraction would stop. No. I had her right on my bed in my house.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, Franklin County Health Department. We don't have a hospital, so Franklin County Health Department, her birthplace had to say my address, and they had never made a birth certificate before. So, but they had to. I went on, took her to the hospital. She was fine, but she was born in January, still in addiction of the pills. I got pregnant again immediately and had another baby December 31st of the same year. Cried because I don't want to say this in a bad way, but I did not want the responsibility of the babies. Paisley, when she came born at home, because my best friend and her husband couldn't have children, and when she knew I was talking about having an abortion, she came to me and said, "If you don't want this baby, Ben and I would love to take this baby if you don't." She had babysat my kids when they were little, and my grandkids. So we'd known each other for a long time. And I knew if anybody could love them just as much as me, it would have been her. But when Paisley came out, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. So then along comes Briar. And again, my husband had done a few jail times in between all these, the babies being born. And Briar had to stay in the NICU for observation, but praise Jesus again, didn't need any intervention. He got out the day before Briar was released. All of his friends were using meth, and he had been using meth. He didn't use just pain pills. He used anything he could get his hands on.
Right.
So before he went to jail, of course, DCS is involved because Paisley, both babies had stuff in their system. So they got involved, even though it was prescription.
Right.
But Brad would avoid them and not do his part. So it made him suspicious. Well, after I had Briar, I got into a severe postpartum depression. Very, very, very severe. Very severe. And there was severe domestic violence at the time. I mean, black eyes, everything else, and more calls to DCS. And DCS got involved so deep at that point that they took my babies. So, of course, I called Angel instead of placement and said, will you please take the babies? Mm-hmm. So she takes the babies, and the first thing I do, I'm dope sick from no pills because there's nowhere to be found. And Brad's using meth. So February, Briar was born December 31st. By February, they were taken. Brad flunked all his drugs cleans. When they did February, they were removed. And that was the first month that he came to me and said, here, use this. I'm like, I'm not using meth. I'm not doing it. He said, well, it'll make you feel better. It'll make you not be sick. It'll make you, and even though it's a total opposite drug.
Oh, yeah.
Opiates to methamphetamine, it's a total opposite. It still makes you not dope sick, what they call it, dope sick.
Right.
It made me not sick.
Yeah.
And you couldn't, that was right at the time that the government had stepped in and they started cutting doctors started cutting people off left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And most
With the
people,
opiates.
most people was only able to get them from their pain clinic. So February was the first time I used meth, and that started everyday use. Every day, every single day. Money, every single money we had, I cashed in my 401k. I cashed in, that was several $1,000s. Cashed that in. We went through that. We sold everything in our home. We went through that. I lost my vehicles. So where we were getting a lot of stuff. Probably an 8 ball or 2 8 balls a day we were going through alone. And then I was still using some pain pills. I felt like that was more psychology thing. Mm-hmm. But then we got the idea that we would go to groups and get put on Suboxone because I did have opiates and meth in my system, and we would get strips. But the girl we dealt with in Hamilton had a boyfriend on the inside that she would trade us meth for all the strips, and a lot of meth because she was getting like $150 a strip before in jail.
Right.
So anyway, it got to use a meth to where it was every single day, and I was given so much of it extra that I didn't even know. Even afterwards, people that were in our group and now sober said, Carrie, he was giving you bath salts as well. Because there's times that I don't even remember during that time, which is part of the use, but a lot of things that I do not remember. My husband got very abusive, very twisted. We were using so much that I didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was. I was seeing things, I was hearing things, I was telling people things that absolutely made no sense, and worried my kids to death. Like, what is wrong with you? And the beatings started getting worse and worse and worse. I guess I could show you on my phone when I turn it on. got down to 89 pounds, and I was 160 before that started. So we used every single day, and during that time, he got more abusive, but he also got even sexually abusive, using me for dope money. You want that whole story too? All that?
It's however
Okay.
you want to
I
go
didn't know if
into
that
it.
was
We have
important.
about 4 minutes left.
Oh, no. Okay.
So-
Well, I'm sorry. Anyway, it got really bad, and he was basically using me and the control of me to pimp me out to men, and would watch while they did this and get this. And as I became sober, like, he split my skull open, put a gun to my head when I wouldn't do it. But story is, all that craziness happened, and February of 2017 is when I started using methamphetamine. It's continually used every single day, not skipping a day, until February 14th of 2018. We got arrested. Praise Jesus.
Yeah.
I was driving. Praise Jesus. I thought, I'm okay. I'm a driver. I'm legal. I didn't know they had stuff on them in the car.
Right.
So we all go to jail. Thank goodness he had a lot of charges. I got sober February 14th of 2018. So in 2 months from now, I will have 5 years sober.
That's
So-
amazing.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just really want people to know that, like you said, it
Yeah.
isn't the small town junkies that never get right that use. You can be somebody that has a great dream career, being in ICU, being a nurse. It happens anytime in your life, not just when you're a kid and you continue. You can be almost 40 years old and have a surgery and become an addict.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. It doesn't have any boundaries. But now, after that, here I am. I open my own business. I have my own business in Liberty, and now I've taken my test, and I'm a certified peer addiction recovery coach. So
Plus an RN.
plus I'm my RN and
Yes.
and an addict. So my point is, I just feel like I can be really helpful because of my medical
Yes.
part, because I dealt
Yes.
with that, and now that, living with a spouse and family members in that, then living through it myself and in recovery,
Yes.
and that's my dream, is to
You can
bridge this
actually
gap.
relate to people. I
Yes.
mean, when they come in and they're like, well, you don't even know what,
Yes,
you know.
yeah.
It's like,
You do.
I do.
And I get
Yeah.
people to reach out to me that won't talk to their counselors through Centerstone about
Yeah.
certain things, because they don't even trust them to go that deep with
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
You know, they'll come to me because I'm open about it, and I'm out there, and I just got a phone call yesterday.
Yeah.
I get phone calls, people wanting to get into treatment, and I'll find them a bed, and I'll go get them in there
Absolutely.
myself. It's just because I can bridge the gaps,
Yeah.
and I've been, people that learn it out of a book cannot really understand the concept. They think they can because they went and got a
Yeah.
degree in it, but they don't.
Yeah.
So
You've been through the withdrawal.
Been through.
You've been through the diarrhea, the sweating, the pain
it's
of withdrawing.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
And you can, when they're suffering, you can relate to that.
Yes.
And that's where people have to understand,
Yeah.
what's, and the empathy between,
It is something that you cannot stop with. Most people cannot stop that without some type of assistance, because you only stay sick so long,
So
and you're
long
finally
before-
just like,
yeah.
I got to have something.
Yeah.
And it's just right back on the roll
Yeah.
again. So it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
But there is help. You are not alone.
That's
You
right.
are enough. You are worthy. People are out there. You're always welcome to reach out to me, because, like I said, I am kind of the middleman in this
Yeah.
whole situation,
Yeah.
and want people to succeed. So if I can do it and totally
Yes.
change who I am, and go
Absolutely.
from having no home and no electric, no
Yeah.
power, no nothing, to owning my own business, I have a house again, and becoming a coach,
Yes.
any of you can do it.
And isn't that wonderful? I mean, that story is just so encouraging. And I just want to encourage everyone. And I just want everyone to have a Merry Christmas. God bless you, and I will see you in the new year.